how to pass God tests. If you've been doing your best, if you've been doing everything correctly, but still you meet a struggle, or you're going through a storm right now, it's just because you're probably in a phase test. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to not fail it. The first thing you want to understand is that it's not really God's test, because God created the universe. And in this universe, there are certain laws that they probably didn't teach you at school, or even religion didn't taught you. So I'm here to show you what you need to know exactly to overcome that storm you're going through right now that you may think is God testing you. But the truth is, God is not testing you. God didn't send you on this earth to suffer. He sent you here to finish your purpose. God never wants your downfall. Never. And even if you're going through a storm, I want to understand that most likely it's not God that started that storm. Let me explain. You have a new version of you and an old version of you outside of this physical plane. What am I talking about? Well, we live on three planes of existence: physical, mental, and spiritual. The mental and the spiritual worlds are the one creating the physicals. What does Matthew 6:33 says? Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things shall be added into you. What does that mean? That means you gotta tweak the mental and the spiritual first in order for you to have anything physical. Just simple as that. I'm not gonna make it more complicated. I know it can get more complicated. I can even explain the whole thing, but that's gonna take like forever. So I'm here just to tell you how to pass your adversity. So now that you understand that we live on three planes of existence, the thing I want you to understand is that outside of this physical world, in the spiritual world, you have an old version of you. And then it's at that same place that you create the new version of you as well. So the thing is, like, as soon as you start to do better, as soon as you try to progress in life, you're creating a new version of yourself. But the thing is, like, that old version of yourself in the spiritual world is still there. You gotta get rid of him. That's the only way that yourself can flourish. And there is a Bible verse, I don't know which specific one it was. I'll put it on the screen if I find it. But it was something like you can only sit in one chair, something like that. And what Jesus is talking about regarding that is that you can only be in yourself or your old self. So all of this is happening in the spiritual world. Spiritual world means the unseen. You cannot see it. All you can see is the physical world, but the physical world is created by mental and spiritual. So let's say you try to make more money, right? That old version of you gonna do everything in its power to get rid of all the money that you have, or to stop you from making more money. Just simple as that. And you may think it's God testing you, but no, it's just the old version of you in the spiritual world that does not want to go. It still wanna live. It doesn't wanna die. Same as the new version of you. You wanna live too, but since you can only sit in one chair, you either gotta choose the old version of you or the new version of you. And how you control this is through emotion. The only language of God is emotion. God doesn't care whatever you say. He only cares about emotion. To prove it to you, how many times have you prayed for something and you either didn't get it or get the opposite? Because when you're praying, you're operating from the wrong emotion. So God is only answering to emotion. So you get the reality of whatever emotion you ask first. You gotta understand that to beat the old version of you, you gotta understand the old version of you, because you cannot beat something that you're not aware of. If you ever did boxing, it's always the punch that you don't see coming that either knocks you out or hurt the most. Same as in real life, it's the thing that you don't see that really hurts you. And if you don't know how the old version of you operates, you're never going to be able to embrace that new version of yourself. So, in order to beat the old version of you, it's quite simple. The first thing I understand is the old version of you is going to do everything in the physical world to get an emotional reaction to you, so that in the spiritual world, the new version of you cannot flourish. Simple as that. It's going to do everything to steer an emotion, especially negative emotion. He's going to do everything to get a negative emotion out of you, so that you cannot create that new version of yourself. You start a new business, right? While the old version of you gonna throw failures, you're gonna throw struggle, you're gonna throw everything at you, so that you give up on the new version of yourself, and it's still living. The old version is still living, because as I said before, God created the laws when he created the world, and if you don't operate with those laws, you're gonna struggle eventually. So the law here is the law of convenience. The universe like convenience. Every time you try to bypass what's convenient, you're gonna get met with friction, and that friction is nothing more than the law of the universe. But you can beat it. The first way to beat it is being aware of it. Now that you're aware of it, look what the old version of you is trying to do in your life right now. Remember, the old version of you is smarter than you, and he's gonna do everything it's possible to fuck up your life, basically. For me, for example, as soon as I start to make a certain amount of money, the old version of me will use people that I know in real life to go against me. They will use those people to ask me for more money. I remember when I was doing my first like 10K a month, I got like 3 people just asking to help them with like a crazy amount. You know, it was just crazy, but they were such a close friends of mine that I would never say no to them, and they knew that my situation starting to evolve. And in my mind, I was like, what's going on? You know, it's like if I give them this amount of money, I'm not gonna have anything more left. You see, it didn't make sense, but I understood that that was the work of the subconscious mind. I remember my car, I crashed it just before I started to make a certain amount of money as well. And the way I'm gonna explain the crash is this: you know, we were in LA basically. If you know LA, we know LA have mountains, right? So I was driving with 2 other friends in the mountains, right? And there is a big rock in the middle of the road in the mountains. And my first friend, he was able to swerve it, right? My second friend, he was able to swerve it as well, right? I saw my first friend swerve. I saw my second friend swerve as well. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm swerving too. But guess what? Somehow, that rock, I was not able to swerve it. And it really destroyed my car. And back then, the car was the only thing I had. That car was the only thing I had. I had nothing else. That car was sustaining my job. So as soon as my reality started to change, that crash happened. I hit that rock. My car got destroyed. My car got destroyed. I had no more car. No more car. Then, because I was doing like delivery back then, I had no more job as well because I was doing food delivery. So no car to do delivery, right? So I lost my job and I lost my car both at the same time as soon as I started to change my reality. So that was the work of the old version of me. See what I'm talking about here? And at the beginning, I thought it was God testing me, right? But it's not really God testing you. It's you operating under God's law. And what is the law? The law of convenience. And what happened is, as soon as you try to do better, you're going to get met with friction. But the way I overcome this is I understood what it meant. And that's all you need to understand. I understand that the difficulty you're going through right now is only happening because you're evolving. You're entering the new version of yourself. You're entering a new reality. God is with you. He's always with you. He doesn't want your demise. He doesn't want your downfall. He only wants the better for you. So when adversity strikes, know that first, it's not God. Second, it's the old version of you that is smarter than you because he lives on the spiritual plane and he knows you since the beginning. He's going to do everything that you and him knew to fuck up your life. He's gonna use people, circumstance, he's gonna create events in your life that are absolutely random but perfectly timed. Like it could not have happened at the worst moment. Back then when I crashed my car in the mountains, it could have never happened at the worst moment. That was where I needed the most money. That was where I needed my car the most, and I lost it. It was just crazy. And that was just how your old version of yourself will operate differently in your life, but it can feel like something really like tragic. But you just gotta understand, all he wants is emotion. Since all he wants is emotion, he's gonna do everything to steer the most negative emotion out of you. The only way you can bypass him and overcome him is to come to neutrality. You gotta stay still and you gotta know God. Simple as that. That's a Bible verse. That just means come to an understanding that your life is evolving and that is your old version of you that trying to bring you back to that old reality of negativity. Simple as that, because the new version of you is so threatening that the old version of you needs to create drama just in order to keep existing. My clients, they all got hit with tremendous adversity beyond what they thought they could solve once they were on the path to change the course of their life. I just helped them understand what was going on and what steps to take to bypass the storm they were in. If you too are going through a storm right now and you need help, link in the description.